Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at some YouTube content you sent our way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a religious service led by Pastor Jerry Eze.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we went ahead and dove into the transcript of his sermon.
Right.
And wow, it is just packed with these unbelievable stories about the power of faith.
I can imagine.
So get ready, because we're going to explore how faith kind of like intertwines with those real life experiences, especially when it comes to things like,
Ah.
healing, resilience, and that very human need for hope.
Well, let's unpack these stories and see what we can glean from them.
Sounds good. The first thing that really stood out to me was Pastor Eze's central message. What God cannot do does not exist.
Hmm.
It's like this cornerstone for the whole sermon.
Right.
It really sets the stage for some pretty remarkable testimonies.
So it's like a framework for understanding all these experiences.
Exactly.
It suggests that even the most unlikely outcomes, when looked at through this lens of unwavering faith,
Yeah.
could be seen as acts of divine intervention.
Well, that's a great point. So the first story is a real head scratcher.
Okay.
A woman's mother had just been declared clinically dead by doctors.
Oh, wow.
And this woman, she's playing Pastor Eze's prayer service on her phone.
Okay.
During the service, he tells someone to turn up the volume and place the phone next to a deceased woman.
Hmm.
And get this, 5 minutes later, her mother revives.
Wow.
It's pretty wild, right?
That's a delayed reaction.
Yeah.
It's intriguing.
Right?
It's not an immediate,
It's not instant.
come back to life.
Yeah.
There's this period of waiting. And that makes me think of some research from Johns Hopkins University that suggests that hope
Okay.
can actually boost endorphin production,
Oh, interesting.
leading to pain reduction and a feeling of well-being.
I see where you're going with this.
Could this 5-minute window have, amplified her hope and somehow, played a part in her mother's revival?
It really makes you think.
It does.
How powerful is the mind
Right.
in these situations?
It's complex. This
Yeah.
interplay between faith, psychology, and our physical responses.
Absolutely.
While we can't say exactly what happened in this specific case,
Right.
the story definitely highlights, the power of belief.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next story involves a woman whose husband has just undergone surgery for brain cancer.
Hmm.
The doctor gives her a pretty grim prognosis,
Okay.
tells her that he might not wake up for 6 months, and even then could face permanent disability.
Wow.
But she completely rejects this,
Huh?
holds on to her faith. And incredibly, just hours after the surgery, her husband wakes up and speaks.
That's remarkable.
I know, right?
That brings up this whole idea of miraculous recovery.
Right.
Something that's often debated, between the medical community
Yeah,
and those who believe in divine intervention.
for sure.
Could this be an example of the placebo effect at play, where a strong belief in healing can sort of kickstart the body's own natural ability to repair itself?
Right?
Or is this something that goes beyond, our current scientific understanding?
That's the big question, isn't it? But wait, there's more to this story.
Oh,
As they're moving her husband out of the ICU, he stands up on his own.
no way.
I know, right? Defying the doctor's prediction of a year-long recovery.
That's amazing. But it also makes you think about
Yeah.
how we balance a doctor's professional opinion, with a patient's strong beliefs,
That's a tough one.
especially when those beliefs might lead to actions that go against medical advice.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a multifaceted issue with no easy answers.
That's for sure. Okay, so this next story is, well, it's both chilling and thought-provoking.
Okay.
A woman survives a brutal attack and kidnapping,
Oh, my goodness.
and she attributes her escape to the, quote, God of Pastor Jerry Eze.
Wow.
She describes how her kidnappers tried to mutilate her with a knife.
That's horrible.
It's terrible, but she says the knife became blunt.
What?
Yeah, and it wouldn't pierce her skin.
Wow.
Although it did tear her bra.
It's terrifying, but also
Right.
it makes you consider the power of belief
Yeah,
in overcoming trauma.
for sure.
Attributing her survival to divine intervention probably gave her a sense of meaning
Yeah.
and control
Yeah.
in a situation where she had none. Right.
Absolutely.
It speaks to our human capacity to find hope, even when we're facing, unimaginable darkness.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's also important to think about those incredible physiological responses the human body can have under extreme stress.
Right.
Right.
Like the adrenaline.
Yeah, hormones like adrenaline could have dulled her pain
Exactly.
or even given her unexpected strength.
And we can't forget about dissociation,
Mm,
a psychological response to trauma
right.
that can actually alter how we perceive events.
That's a good point.
So it's possible that, dissociation affected how she experienced the attack,
Right.
making it feel like the knife was unable to hurt her.
Okay, so the next story is about a woman who was diagnosed with endometrial cancer.
Hmm.
After surgery, she's terrified that the cancer has spread.
Of course.
But during one of Pastor Eze's services, he specifically mentions, quote, cancer of the uterus, declaring it reversed.
Wow.
And when her test results come back,
Yeah.
they show no sign of cancer.
That's incredible.
I know, right?
This story really highlights the role that spiritual communities play
Right.
in supporting people through illness.
Absolutely.
That feeling of being connected to something larger than yourself,
Yeah,
being surrounded by others who share your faith, can have a huge impact
totally.
on both mental and physical well-being.
I completely agree.
It's fascinating how simply having a strong network of people
Yeah.
who understand your struggles and who celebrate your wins can make such a difference,
It's huge.
especially during a health crisis.
I get that sense of belonging, and shared experience. That seems so powerful.
And there's actually a growing body of research
Really?
that shows the positive effects of social support on everything from healing and stress reduction
Wow,
to
Tim.
even longevity.
That's amazing.
But, on the flip side, we also have to consider the ethical considerations
Yeah.
surrounding faith healing.
Of course.
While faith can be a source of comfort and strength,
Yeah.
it's crucial to approach medical decisions with a balanced perspective,
Right.
combining faith with, sound medical advice.
Absolutely. Finding that balance is key. Okay, so the final story we'll cover in this part of our deep dive
Okay.
is about another woman facing a serious medical condition.
All right.
This time, it's deep vein thrombosis with clots that have traveled to her lungs.
That's serious.
Very serious. And despite medical advice, she decides to stop taking her blood thinner medication.
Oh, wow.
She puts her faith completely in Pastor Eze's services.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
This situation really brings to light the potential dangers of,
Yeah.
rejecting medical advice based on religious beliefs.
Absolutely.
And while we absolutely recognize the power of faith,
For sure.
it's crucial to remember that modern medicine has made unbelievable advances in treating these life-threatening conditions.
Right.
And in this case, her doctor specifically warned her about,
Yeah.
the potentially fatal consequences of stopping her medication.
It seems like finding that right balance is so important.
It is.
Faith can be this incredible source of hope and healing,
Absolutely.
but it's so crucial to make those medical decisions with a blend of faith and, solid medical guidance.
I think that's a great takeaway from these stories.
Yeah.
We've heard some remarkable accounts,
Yeah.
each raising questions about,
Yeah.
faith, healing, and really the limits of human understanding.
Absolutely.
What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, I'm captivated by these stories. The unwavering belief, the role of community and shared faith, the resilience of the human spirit.
It's a lot to process,
It really is.
for sure. But we'll continue dissecting these stories and explore their implications in the next part of our deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
These stories really do weave together these themes of faith, healing, and resilience
They do.
in such a captivating way.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating to me
Yeah.
is how they kind of challenge our understanding of what's even possible,
Right.
encouraging us to consider perspectives that might lie outside, like our usual frame of reference.
You're right. It's like each story kind of pushes us
Yeah.
a little further outside our comfort zone.
Exactly.
And we have to grapple with these extraordinary accounts.
Exactly. As we go deeper, it's important to remember
Yeah.
our goal isn't to prove or disprove any particular belief system here.
Right.
We're here to analyze this content,
Of course.
explore the psychological and sociological dynamics at play,
Yeah.
and, consider those broader implications of these experiences.
Yeah.
Whether viewed through, a lens of faith or just as really compelling human stories.
That's a great point. We're not here to judge or take sides.
Exactly.
We're just trying to understand, the multifaceted nature of these stories.
Right.
And their impact on individuals and communities.
Speaking of impact,
Yeah.
one thing that consistently emerges from these testimonies
Yeah.
is this profound sense of gratitude
Oh, absolutely.
expressed by those who believe they've experienced a miracle.
You can just feel it in their words.
Yeah.
It's palpable.
It's almost like sharing their experiences is a way of acknowledging the power of their belief
Right.
and then reinforcing it.
It creates this cycle.
It does.
Faith leads to a perceived miracle,
Yeah.
leading to a deep sense of gratitude, which then further strengthens their faith.
Exactly. It's really a testament to that human need for meaning and connection,
It is.
and how those needs can manifest in such powerful ways.
It's also interesting how Pastor Eze emphasizes the immediacy of faith. He's always using phrases like right now or it's happening now,
Right.
creating a sense of urgency and possibility,
Yeah.
urging listeners to seize the moment
Yeah.
and believe in that power of divine intervention.
That sense of urgency is pretty common
Yeah,
in charismatic religious movements.
right.
It taps into our deep desire for those immediate solutions,
Of course.
tangible proof of the
Right.
supernatural,
Yeah.
by creating this atmosphere of anticipation, expectation.
Yeah.
Pastor Eze really fosters a heightened emotional state among his followers.
Right, making them more receptive to his message.
Exactly. And that collective energy
Yeah.
can be so powerful.
It can,
And
man.
it creates this sense of belonging,
Yeah.
a shared purpose,
Mhm.
and this unwavering faith that transcends individual doubts and fears.
It's like he's creating a shared experience
Yes.
that amplifies the emotional intensity
Right.
and reinforces that belief that miracles aren't just possible, but are happening right there.
And that likely contributes to the remarkable resilience
Yeah.
and unwavering hope that we see in these testimonies.
It's really interesting how Pastor Eze also uses repetition throughout his sermon.
Oh, yeah.
He repeats these key phrases and themes,
Mm-hmm.
driving home his central message,
Yeah.
creating a sense of rhythm and momentum.
It's a powerful tool.
Right.
Repetition.
Yeah.
It's been used for centuries in religious and political discourse.
Right.
It reinforces those key points,
Yeah.
creates a sense of familiarity, and even induces a trance-like state,
Mm.
making listeners more suggestible.
So it's not just the words, but the way they're delivered.
Exactly. Pastor Eze weaves together these personal anecdotes,
Yeah.
biblical references, and, these impassioned pleas,
Right.
creates a captivating narrative.
He's a master storyteller, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And by sharing these deeply personal testimonies,
Yeah.
he invites his followers to connect on an emotional level, fostering trust and a sense of shared experience.
Which strengthens those bonds within the community.
Right. These stories aren't just abstract concepts. They're
Yeah.
real-life experiences,
Available.
touching on those universal themes of suffering, hope, and the search for meaning.
And that's why they resonate so deeply.
Yeah.
They transcend cultural and religious boundaries, tapping into that shared human experience.
It's like a reminder that regardless of our backgrounds or beliefs,
Yeah.
we all face challenges.
We do.
And we search for those sources of strength and hope.
And that search often leads us to connect with others
Yeah.
who share those same values, those same beliefs.
It's like having this network of people
Yes.
who understand your struggles
Exactly.
and celebrate your triumphs.
It's a source of strength
Yeah.
that can help you weather any storm.
Within that community,
Yeah.
shared rituals like prayer
Right.
can really reinforce beliefs, create a sense of collective ethics.
That belief that together they can overcome anything.
It reminds us that we're social creatures,
We are.
We need those connections.
We do.
And then those shared experiences.
And those connections can be incredibly empowering,
They can.
especially when they're rooted in a shared faith.
Right.
As we continue unpacking these stories,
Yeah.
it's crucial to be mindful of the diverse perspective
Of course.
and experiences that they represent.
Yeah.
We're not trying to present a singular truth
Right.
or endorse any viewpoint.
Right.
We're simply inviting you, the listener,
Yeah.
to engage with these stories, consider the complexities,
Absolutely.
and maybe even challenge your own assumptions.
About faith, healing, and the human potential for resilience.
It's a journey
It is.
of exploration and discovery.
We're glad to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of journeys,
Yeah.
one thing that struck me was how many of these stories involved travel.
Oh, interesting.
The woman who reconnected with her mother, she flew from Lagos to Abuja.
Right.
The woman who survived the kidnapping, taking on this, harrowing ride across bridges.
Yeah. And even the woman with deep vein thrombosis eventually travels to the UK.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, that is interesting.
Right.
Travel often symbolizes transformation, overcoming obstacles.
Right. It's like a metaphor for the spiritual and emotional journeys
Exactly.
these individuals undertook,
Yeah.
their movement towards healing and wholeness.
It's like their physical journey mirrors their internal shifts.
Yes.
A tangible representation of their transformation.
And it's not just physical travel.
Right.
The The stories also highlight the power of connecting with others across geographical boundaries.
That's true. Like the woman who shared her story about deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah.
She found support through Pastor Eze's online ministry,
Exactly.
connecting with a global community.
It's a reminder that faith and belief can go beyond physical limitations,
Absolutely.
uniting people from all walks of life through shared values and aspirations.
As we move toward the end of our deep dive, it's interesting to think about how these stories connect with those broader societal trends.
Right.
I mean, we live in this era of information overload,
We do.
where we have access to all these different viewpoints and belief systems.
It's like this vast marketplace of ideas
It is.
where individuals can create their own belief systems,
Yeah.
drawing inspiration from various sources.
That's fascinating.
And within that marketplace, these charismatic figures like Pastor Eze have risen to prominence,
Right.
utilizing technology and social media to spread their message,
Absolutely.
connect with a global audience.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, it raises questions about the role of faith and belief in this digital age.
It's a conversation that's just beginning,
It is.
and one that will definitely continue to shape how we understand faith, technology, and that human search for meaning.
Right. As we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
it's clear these stories have left us with more questions than answers, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. It seems like with every answer, we just uncover even more questions to explore.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion,
It
revealing new depths and complexities.
Is it a good thing?
It is.
Yeah.
It's in the questioning, the grappling with uncertainty
Huh.
that we truly begin to learn and grow.
That's true.
These stories aren't meant to provide those easy answers
Yeah.
or definitive conclusions.
No, they're invitations to engage with the mystery of faith,
Yes,
the complexities of human experience,
absolutely.
and that enduring power of hope.
Even in the face of those seemingly insurmountable challenges.
It's powerful. It's like a reminder that even in a world that often feels divided and uncertain,
Yeah,
there's still room for wonder,
right.
possibility, and that belief in something greater than ourselves.
Now let's dive into that final part of our exploration,
Okay.
where we'll examine those ethical considerations
Yeah.
these stories raise and the impact they have
Right?
on individuals and society as a whole.
These stories have really taken us on a journey
Yeah.
from the edge of death to like the depths of despair and ultimately
Yeah.
to a place of hope and resilience.
It's amazing how each story sort of encapsulates that human experience,
Right.
reflecting our ability for like profound suffering
Yeah.
and incredible transformation.
It is remarkable.
It is.
And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I keep finding myself coming back to Pastor Eze's central message. What God cannot do does not exist.
Right?
It's such a bold statement,
It is.
and it clearly resonates with so many people.
It does.
What do you think makes this message so powerful, especially for those facing difficult circumstances?
I think it speaks to that fundamental human longing,
Oh,
that desire for a force
yeah.
beyond ourselves
Uh-huh.
that can intervene in our lives,
Right.
mend those wounds,
Yeah.
make the impossible possible.
Right. Offer a beacon of hope,
Exactly.
especially for those who are feeling marginalized or disempowered, especially burdened by life's challenges.
It's interesting, too, how that message is often paired with a call to action.
Oh, absolutely.
Pastor Eze doesn't just encourage belief, he urges his followers to actively participate
Right.
in their own transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Step into their faith and anticipate miracles.
It's not passive.
No.
It's active.
It's about, as they say, claiming your miracle.
So it almost becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy then.
Right.
If you believe something strongly enough, you're more likely to act in ways that support that belief.
Exactly.
Which could then increase the chances of achieving that outcome.
Right. And while we can't definitively say whether divine intervention is at play here
Yeah.
or whether these outcomes have other explanations,
Right.
there's no denying the power of belief
Absolutely.
to shape our reality.
It's like that saying,
What is it?
whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly.
Our beliefs really impact how we see things, how we act, and ultimately what we experience.
And these stories are such powerful examples of that,
They are.
of how belief can really transform
Absolutely.
individuals and even communities.
But it's also important to acknowledge that there can be downsides
Oh, absolutely.
to unwavering belief,
Right.
especially when it leads to rejecting, sound medical advice.
Right. Like we saw in that story of the woman with deep vein thrombosis.
Exactly.
It's a tough question. How do we navigate those situations
Yeah.
where faith and medical advice seem at odds?
It's a delicate balance for sure.
It is.
I guess it comes down to approaching faith
Yeah.
with a healthy dose of critical thinking
Well,
and discernment.
blind faith without considering the evidence
Right.
or other perspectives can be harmful.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance between embracing the power of faith,
Mhm.
but also staying grounded in reality,
Right.
remaining open to, the insights of science and reason.
Finding that middle ground.
Exactly.
Integrating faith and reason.
Yeah,
Recognizing that both have value
they do.
in how we understand the world and our place in it.
These stories have given us a lot to think about.
A lot to unpack.
They really have. They've challenged our perceptions of faith and healing,
Uh-huh.
the complexities of human experience.
They really highlight how belief shapes our reality.
Yeah, and reminded us of that power of hope,
The power of hope.
even in the face of adversity.
Absolutely.
As we conclude our deep dive into these incredible stories,
Yeah.
what stands out to you the most?
I think that reminder that even in a world that often feels divided and uncertain,
Yeah,
there's still that space for wonder,
I love
for
it.
possibility,
Yeah,
and for belief in something bigger than ourselves.
that's beautifully said.
It is. And maybe the most valuable thing we can take away
Yeah.
is to approach life with that sense of curiosity,
Mm.
with compassion,
Yeah,
and with an open mind.
that's a wonderful note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for diving deep with us.